Good afternoon. It is Saturday, October 8th, 2022, and that means it's time for another installment of Western Liberty Network's ongoing Saturday trainings. Today, we're going to be talking about getting out the vote. We are 1 month out from election, and people should already have a get out the vote plan ready to go. If not, that's what this session is for. It is not too late, so we're going to talk about that. Before I begin, I want to point out that Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit educational organization, which means we do not endorse or oppose any candidate or political party. We do provide training in support of limited government principles to activists who want to go out there and use the training any way they want to promote the campaigns and causes that they care about. So with that, I'm going to share the screen momentarily and go to the westernlibertynetwork.org webpage. It's important you check this out because there are a lot of resources that are available free of charge. When you go to the home page, you see what's going on right now. We're going to be gearing up for our annual conference, and you can sign up now. We are expecting some very serious heavy hitters as featured speakers. These are the people that are confirmed so far. We're expecting to sell out this year, so if you want to get your space, register early, just click on the Register Now button, and you'll be able to get your tickets. Go down more and you'll see what we're doing. This is going to be the training that we're doing today. This will change soon. And this talks about past things that have gone on with Western Liberty Network, past events that have taken place. Some of the presentations and slideshows are available at Right, so you can check those out anytime you want. Those are all free resources. We have some speeches. The audio is available here. You can click on those and listen to those presentations. A lot of them are very, very interesting. If you want to do more, you can go to the training tab. If you go to the training tab, it talks about the kinds of training Western Liberty Network provides, but then there are a bunch of companion training documents. These are all documents you can download free of charge. Pick out the topic that's interesting to you, like petition signature gathering in Oregon. If that interests you, you click on it and it brings up the training document. You can print it out, download it, copy it, distribute it, do anything you want to do. That's what it's for. So if you come back and go down a little farther, you'll see the videos. These are the videos that we have done, just like the one that we're doing right now. In fact, the recording of this session will be posted very shortly, and it'll appear right on top of this one. That's on the training tab. And what's really nice, because with the documents here that you can download and the videos that you can watch, you can actually find out what it is you need to learn and design your own custom training course. After you look at that, if you like what you see and you think it has value, we invite you to support Western Liberty Network with your fully tax-deductible contribution by clicking on the Support WLN page. There you'll see an opportunity to provide one-time contributions of various amounts of money and monthly automatic contribution levels, which we love because it makes it easy for us to budget for those dollars. And so if you want to help, please do so by clicking on those things. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and come back, and we're going to begin our training of the day. And the training of the day is getting out the vote. I have a document here I'm going to send through the chat window. Okay. Those of you online live will be able to download that by looking at your chat window. If you're having trouble downloading it, here's Donna Blaler. If you're having trouble downloading that site, you can, I'm going to load it again because Donna just came. You can go to the training tab on the westernlibertynetwork.org website and you can download it from there. But anyway, we're going to be going through this today. You might have seen this before, maybe not, but this is a very, very good thing to do. A lot of elections are going to be close this year. If you're in Oregon and Washington, that's especially true. The left, liberals have a registration advantage over conservatives in this state, and that has to be compensated for, and it's compensated for by shoe leather, hard work, those sorts of things. And because the elections are likely to be close, it is very important that limited government activists get out the voters to vote for the candidates and causes that they care about. So what we're talking about here is an individualized get out the vote program. This can be done by yourself. This can be something you can share with your friends and fellow activists. And it's a little bit of a different concept than regular get out the vote campaigns. A typical get out the vote campaign, it consists of a political party or a candidate setting up a call center. People volunteer to come to the call center and make phone calls. There's also a way to use devices like tablets and phones where the campaigns you're working for will send you numbers to call, and you can just click on a button and call those people. But a lot of people don't like to participate in those kind of events. They don't like to take time out of their day and go to a call center. They also don't like, in many cases, to call strangers. They don't like to interrupt people's lives. And so we have something that's meant not to substitute for traditional GOTV campaigns, but to augment and support them. And that is an individual get out the vote campaign. And this basically is a process whereby people call folks they know, friends, family, co-workers, anyone they know. They talk to service clubs that they belong to. They talk to organizations that they belong to, and basically come up with a list of people they know that they're comfortable with and contact those people. Again, this isn't meant to supplant a traditional get out the vote program, but it's meant to augment the traditional plan. And there are three things that I want to point out. First of which is the reluctance of many limited government activists to call other people and interject something into their day. I know a lot of limited government people, like to be left alone, like to leave other people alone, don't want to intrude on other people's lives. And this is one of the reasons why people in the limited government movement are sometimes resistant to get involved in get out the vote campaigns. I'm going to ask you to try and overcome that. Remember that when Benjamin Franklin came out of Constitution Hall, he was asked if, the Constitution Convention gave America a monarchy or a republic. And to paraphrase him, he said, "We've given you a republic if you can keep it." That means that we are designed to be a self-governing society. And to be a self-governing society responsible for our own governance, we have to govern ourselves. And if we're going to govern ourselves, we're not going to be able to do it without talking to people. And when you call somebody to encourage them to vote, you're not asking them for money, you're not asking them for time, you're not asking them for anything of tangible monetary value. You are inviting them and encouraging them to exercise their franchise, to use their political power to create the world that they want to create. And so I'm going to ask you, when you're afraid you might be interrupting people's lives or intruding, please do not. You are calling on the wings of angels. You are being asked to encourage your friends and acquaintances to simply use their political power by voting. That is the first thing. The second thing relates to the psychology of getting people to vote. Stanford University did a study. I'm trying to get a copy of this study. I've read a synopsis, but I don't have a copy of the actual study yet. But the synopsis says that people are 75% more likely to vote if you can do two things. The first thing you need to do when you ask them to vote is tie the act of voting to their personal identity. What things do people identify with as part of their identity, as part of who they are? One, of course, is their religion. If you're Catholic, Jew, Muslim, or anything, whatever it is, people identify with that. That is a part of who they are. And in many cases, their political affiliation is a part of who they are. Political affiliations and religions actually have quite a bit in common. You've got a litany, you've got commandments that you do, that you don't, things that you stand for. There are figures that are inspirational, there are demons. There are a lot of things that are in common, and people tie their political affiliation to their identity just as they tie their political identity to their church. So if you're talking to somebody, how do you do that? it can be very simple. If I'm talking to Donna, for example, who's on this call, I may say, Donna, I've known you for a long time, and ever since I've known you, you've been a Republican or a Libertarian, say, or whatever the party is. And Donna might say, yes, I've been there for a long time. And I could reply with something like, well, you know, if you've been a Republican for this many years, then you know how important it is to get out the vote. You know how important it is to get out the vote if we're to advance certain principles in the coming election. And if Donna agrees with that, you've done it. You've tied the act of voting to her personal identity. You're saying you've been a conservative for all these many years, right? So you know that it's important that we win elections. And she'll have to say yes. What's she going to say? No, right? I mean, if I've got this wrong, Donna, feel free to unmute yourself and interject. But that's the first thing. Get them to identify the act of voting to their heart, their ideology, their political affiliation. And that's half the battle. The second thing you have to do is ask them to come up with a plan to vote. They are much more likely to vote if they have a plan to vote. So how do you do that? You do that by asking, okay, ballots went out today. When do you think you might get yours in? And if the person replies with, well, I'll tell you what, I think my wife and I are going to cast our votes over dinner on Wednesday. That's a plan. Okay, if you get them to say a plan, we're going to vote next Wednesday at dinner, that's a plan. So if you tie the act of voting to their personal identity and you get them to come up with a plan to vote, they are, how much was it? 75% more likely to vote in any given election. So please remember this as you ask people to vote. Just go through that routine with every request you make. So the first thing you're going to want to do is collect the information and make your plan. Literally, get a piece of paper and a pen and start writing down the names of everybody you know. We actually have a worksheet. If you can hang on a second, I'm going to get this to you. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to send this to you again through the chat window. Should have done this earlier, but better than late than never. Okay. That's not wanting to show it. What I'll do is I'll share the screen. You can download this on the westernlibertynetwork.org website. For some reason, it's not showing up on the available download list here. Zoom isn't perfect. It's wonderful, but it isn't perfect. So what I'm going to do is bring this up. I'm going to share the screen. And I'll show you this form. This is a form that you can download. When you go to the training tab of the westernlibertynetwork.org website, after this training is over, within a couple of hours, you will see this form that you can download. There is space on each page for 2 voters. And you can put down their name here. You can put their phone number, email address if needed, whatever you need, what you minimally need to contact these people. And you've got a series of checkboxes. Are they registered to vote? Did they receive their ballot? Do they need assistance? Do they have a plan to vote? And when will that happen? And if they vote, you follow up, you check off that the contact has voted. Down here, you can put down when you contacted them, when you followed up. Had to contact them a second time, when did you follow up? A third time, when did you follow up? Just keep contacting them until they vote. But anyway, download these sheets. Print a bunch off for yourself. Write down the names of everyone you know who you want to vote. And just start contacting them and track. Ask them, did you register to vote? Are you registered? Did you get your ballot yet? Okay, is everything okay? Do you have a plan to vote? When will you vote? And When the time comes that they say, I voted, check this off, the contact is voted, that is an accomplishment. If you can get 20, 30 people on your list, that's significant. If you get a few people to do 20, 30 people on their list, that is significant. You may have some of the same people on your two lists. That's okay. That means these people will be bugged until they vote. Now, again, this is not meant to substitute for the get out the vote campaigns that are run by political parties and candidates, but it is meant to augment them, because no one is going to be more effective at getting someone to do anything than an appeal made by somebody that they know. And if you call people, they know you, and you have tied the act of voting to their identity, you've gotten them to give you a plan to vote, chances are very high that they're going to get to vote. There have been state legislative races that have been decided, by 7 votes, by 26 votes, by 78 votes, by 200 and some votes. These things can make a difference. And we've got not only state legislative races, but close congressional races. We've got close gubernatorial race, not to mention county commissioner races, and all the way down the ticket. So if you do this in a very close race, your efforts could make the difference. If you get 2 or 3 people in, that to do it along with you, with their people, again, if it's a close race, that could make the difference. This is not a waste of time. This is something that is very, very important to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to collect, organize, and prioritize your information. When you have your list of people to contact, who are the ones that are most important to contact? There are people that you may know who you're certain that they're going to vote. Put them at the end. People that you're not so sure, put them at the front. Start working those together as hard as you can. And again, the second thing, after you have your list, prepare your messaging. What are you going to say? It might vary a little bit from person to person, but what I recommend is that you keep the call brief, and you tell them why you're there. You're voting, or you're calling them because you're trying to make sure that people get out and vote. Ask them these questions. Are they registered to vote? You may know if they are or not. If you know, you don't have to ask. But did they get their ballot? If they're handicapped, do they need assistance? If they're not, maybe you don't have to ask this question if you know them well enough. But then ask them if they haven't voted, if they have a plan to vote. Help them work up a plan. So it's very, very easy. It could be something like, hi, Bob, this is Rich. Yeah, I'm calling to make sure that all my friends cast their votes in the upcoming election. And I called you because I know you've been, a Constitution Party member for many, many years. And I know that's an important part of who you are. And so I'm sure you'll agree with me that it's important that we all get out there and vote, right? And you'll probably say yes. And so the ballots, they're going to be due before Election Day. When do you plan to cast yours? And they'll say something. I don't know. If they say, I don't know, we haven't thought about it yet, help them think about it right there. If they don't want to, if they need to talk to your wife or something like that, just tell them, that's okay, I'll call you back. Talk about it with her, and I'll call you back and let you know what the plan was. And then make the notation on the form that I showed you, that you can download off the westernlibertynetwork.org website. That's a tool. Thank them very much, and let them know you'll be following up. Okay, and I'll give you a call if they say we'll vote next Wednesday. I'll say, okay, fine, I'll give you a call on Thursday or Friday, find out that you actually voted, and I can mark you off my list, and I can bother somebody else. And even though you're not bothering them, just be light about it, be casual. And that's all you have to do. It's as easy as that. You're letting people know that it's important that they exercise their franchise. You're reminding them that the ballot is due and they need to put some time into it, and and they will. So that's the second thing, prepare your messaging. And then the third thing is simply, very basic stuff. Just get to work. This is the hardest part for a lot of people. A lot of folks don't plan their time, and it's easy to put it off. Oh, I got this phone call, I've got to do this. I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, I'll do it next week. And then, you're crunched up here in the last week of the election. It's not as effective. So it's very important that you get out your calendar and you mark off time, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, a couple of hours somewhere else. Make sure that you have enough time so that the people who are on your list, you can contact them all, maybe contact them all a couple of times to make sure that they follow through. But it's important that you budget time. Make sure you get out your Google Calendar or your paper calendar or whatever it is you use and take a look at the days, your personal commitments, your professional commitments, and find time to make an appointment with yourself to make these calls. And so, email is important, but calls are much better. Face-to-face is best, but a lot of us don't have time to do face-to-face in very high numbers, so phone calls are really good. So, the bottom line is, this isn't complicated. This is one of my shorter trainings. Usually takes about a half an hour, and here we are at pretty close to half an hour. It's not a complicated training, but it's something that has some important steps that need to be gone over, and it's just about getting motivated and doing it. And right now is the perfect time. We are 1 month out. Ballots are going to be sent out soon in both Oregon and Washington. And so now is the time to make your GOTV plan, start executing it in about a week. And I promise you that while nothing you do can guarantee electoral success, if you do this and you get some of your friends to do this, your chances of winning in close elections will be much higher than if you do not do these things. So get a good get out the vote plan for yourself, and just start making calls and do as Dr. Franklin admonished us to do, and that is take responsibility for our own governance by participating in it. And that, of course, means being involved in the political process. Nothing is more important than getting out the vote. And so that concludes the bulk of my training. I'd like to open up the floor to see if anyone has any questions or comments. Donna? Chris?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my plan, I got a list of Republicans for Cottage Grove here where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I've started canvassing with some people here in town on city candidates yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go out after the ballots are sent out and cover this list, and they show people who are hard Republicans and weak Republicans.
Sure.
And I want to contact them after the ballots have gone out and make sure they vote. And I have addresses, names and addresses to go door to door to do that.
Mm-hmm.
As a follow-up to all the material we're going to pass out in the next few days. So I'm basically going to hit everybody 2 or 3 times.
That's good. If you can do that, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of these lists, they will show you how often they have voted in the last 4 elections. So they might be 4 of 4 voters, 3 of 4 voters, 2 of 4 voters, those sorts of things. Usually the 4 of 4 voters you don't have to worry about. It's the 2 of 4 and the 3 of 4 voters you need to worry about. I would prioritize those first. I would, having said that, I would make a phone call to your county and state political party to see what their plans are to consolidate their base and make sure that the 4 of 4s vote. But I would consolidate, I would focus most of my time on the 2 of 4 and the 3 of 4 and maybe even the 1 of 4 and try and get those out to vote. It's about, it's just about numbers. It's just about maximizing the turnout of people who are inclined to support you and making sure that you use your time effectively. Door to door is best, but it's slow. Telephone is faster, but it's not as good as face to face. And email, a lot of people throw emails away. So is this helpful to you at all?
Yeah, I need to look at my list and see if it shows that information on there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all it shows is strong Republican, weak Republican. So
Yeah.
I'll need to peruse the list and see if it shows their frequency.
Sure. And remember, the strong Republican, weak Republican, that if I understand your list correctly, those are based on what are called psychographic profiles. Lists are purchased and people are sort of categorized as strong or weak based on certain things. What kind of vehicles do they drive? What kind of magazines do they subscribe to? Art Robinson down in Southern Oregon, when he ran for Congress a number of years ago, he worked with a company called SCL out of London, and they developed a psychographic profile for every single voter based on these kinds of data. It was very interesting, but a lot of times it was dead wrong. I think if you look at the whole database, it was basically accurate, but if you look at individual voters, there were a lot of times when it was wrong. So don't take for granted that a weak Republican is weak or that a strong Republican is strong if what they mean by weak and strong are how aligned they are ideologically. Those things are not right. I would look more carefully at how often do they vote? Do they vote every election? Do they vote half the time? That is the more important thing. And then focus on the people who are weaker, who don't vote, who might be aligned with you politically, but don't vote as often. Focus on those. And your political party should have that information. I know it exists, that they get free historical information, voter history information from the Oregon Secretary of State's office. And so it's just a question of how much of that they pass along to you. So make sure you ask for it. And when you get that list, prioritize the people you know, okay? You might already have your own list of people you know, but prioritize a list of people that you know, because the most effective contacts you're gonna have are with people that are acquainted with you. Start with the people you know, and then continue with the people you don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or ideas? Okay, Donna, did you have anything? You've got two identities that keep popping in and out of the meeting room, so I don't know how much you've heard, and I don't know what questions you might have. Are there any questions that you have, Donna? If you have any questions, go ahead and you're having trouble with your audio, go ahead and send them through the chat window. And if I don't see anything in the chat window, we're going to assume that you do not have any questions. Good info? Okay, good. You're hearing it. That's good. That's great. Okay, very good. So unless there is anything else, you have any other questions or comments, we're going to call it a day. And we will have Janice Dysinger with us next week. She will provide a training on how to be an effective poll watcher. So there might be a lot of folks you might want to get involved in that one. And she always brings a lot of people too.
So that's next week?
That's next Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. So is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay. Thank you very much for being here. God bless. And hopefully we'll see you next Saturday.